Hi, I'm Rebecca Hutton, President and CEO of Leadership Indianapolis, and this is the Convo. Today we are talking with Duchess Adjei, who is the Regional Communications Director for the Indiana Red Cross. So, Duchess, hello.
Hi, I'm
How
happy
are
to.
you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you for inviting me to this.
Absolutely. You have a huge, big job with everything that is going on in the world right now. And you all just launched a new campaign. So tell us a little bit about that campaign.
Of course, yeah. So I'm really excited to share our campaign. It's called Doing My Part. And I think it is such the quintessential concept that everyone has, a part in this entire fight against COVID-19. And we all can do little small things that really add up to, a bigger thing of this fight. And I think when I think about doing my part, some of the words that come to mind: unity, togetherness, inclusion. And I say that because there are really cool key elements about the campaign. It's a social media campaign, but I think the really unique part is that it is going to be translated into 6 languages outside of English. Those languages include Arabic, Burmese, Chinese, French, Hakka-Chin, which is a dialect of Burmese, and Spanish. And so we think about everything that happened, 3.5 weeks ago, when everything really, took form, and we all had to kind of lean in and pivot really quickly. And we realized that there are large swaths of our community that probably have not been communicated to. And I think that everyone has um, it should be communicated to, and everyone has the need to want to, share as much information as possible. But we have to make sure that we're including individuals who may not have had that opportunity when this kind of first hit. So we're really excited to be, we've partnered with Luna Languages, the Indiana Humanities helped us curate different artists from the community. We've worked with the Arts Council of Indianapolis and a company called Innovate Map, and they helped us design some of the imagery that you'll see. And so we're really thrilled that we launched this campaign today, April 13th, and we look forward to seeing how people engage with it.
Fantastic. I love that you are being so thoughtful about how to be inclusive. I mean, it's one thing to say that we all need to do our part, but it's a whole nother thing to really be intentional about inviting and including other people into that opportunity to do their part. And I know that translating materials from one language into another, much less 6 other languages, isn't always as easy as people think it is, right? You don't just type it into Google Translate and it turns out perfectly. It takes a lot more effort than most people realize, I think.
Exactly. This whole concept of content localization, making sure that you are appreciating certain cultures, certain concepts that maybe are okay in English and may not be okay in another language. I think making sure that you do lean into cultural competency is really important, especially now more than ever, because we're in a crisis, a global pandemic that affects us all in different ways. And so I think that making sure that we are, connecting with those individuals is important. And I think it's also good to note that all of those languages that I mentioned, the reason why we chose them is because they, based upon our state, are the 6 most popular languages. Of course, we know there are many other languages, and I think that as we continue moving with this campaign, we will lean on our partners to help us think about other languages that we can work to do. So I think it's exciting.
Fantastic. So when we think about doing our part, one of the things that struck me was how simple some of the things are, right? Often, particularly as a leadership organization, we think about being leaders like having the big idea or coming up with this huge solution. But the reality of it is, a lot of times, and particularly right now, one of the best things that leaders can do is the small, simple acts, but doing them in such a way that we really do strengthen the community. So can you give us a few examples of some of the ways that you're recommending for people to do their part?
Yeah, so we're encouraging people to definitely practice social distancing. We are certainly trying to amplify the messages of our health community, which, that's what they've been saying for quite some time. Make sure that you stay 6 feet away. Make sure that you are, washing your hands very thoroughly for at least 20 seconds. I mean, I think those messages are things that probably won't go away for a while, and we will continue to, amplify that. But I think also too, you think about the work that we do as the American Red Cross, and we still have disasters. Those things don't automatically stop because we do have this pandemic right now. And you think about the way in which we respond to disasters, whether it's that home fire in the middle of the night, that a family, while we're sleeping, a family loses everything, and their whole life is literally turned upside down. And how in less than 2 minutes, one of the things that we are always talking about is, you have less than 2 minutes to escape your home safely, and to make sure that everyone in your home kind of has that understanding. And so our volunteers are responding and still have to respond to those disasters. We had really bad weather. I think it was just last week. Hail, high winds, thunderstorms, lightning. And we had a lot of damage in parts of our state. And volunteers are on the front lines still responding to those disasters. And then, we're in flood season, and knock on wood, hopefully we don't have, terrible floods like we did last year and years prior. But we still have to do what we do and do our part and help and respond to those disasters. And so I think how the Red Cross has, how are we actually responding to those disasters? We've had to shape our posture in our disaster response, and maybe where we would sit across from someone and try to have that human connection, sitting down with that family member or that family member's friend in their home. We're now having to use Zoom calls or phone calls, sending emails, mailing the money that we would share and hand to someone. We're just having to change everything. And so, we are encouraging people to consider, being a Red Cross volunteer, and work, with your community, your neighbors, checking in on your neighbors. That's one of the themes we've been talking about a lot. And so we want people to consider becoming a Red Cross volunteer by visiting redcross.org/volunteer. And there are ways, again, we are understanding where we're at in this time, but figuring out ways to work with us to connect with communities that have been struck by disasters. Another thing is we're encouraging people to donate blood. And of course, we are practicing social distancing. We certainly understand it's a time when people feel very uncomfortable. You're practicing social distancing, and yet you want us to come and donate blood. But in order to have a healthy blood supply, and to not have severe shortages, it's key for people to, if they're healthy and they feel well, to consider doing that. If you are stir crazy at home and you feel like you want to do something to help, donating blood is something that you can do, because again, those disasters for the people who are in hospitals, that doesn't stop. Cancer patients who are battling, cancer and different diseases, and people who get into accidents and need blood transfusions, those things don't stop. So we're encouraging people to consider donating blood as well. And it's also good to note that no respiratory virus, including COVID-19, you can actually transmit through blood transfusion. So people should feel solace in that.
Great, fantastic. So I'm going to switch gears just slightly. Like I said at the beginning, I mean, you have a huge job, but one that's kind of built around responding to crisis, even outside of COVID-19. I mean, that's what the American Red Cross does, is respond to different crises. And so, as a leader, particularly as a younger leader, what are some of the experiences that either personally or professionally that have helped you be prepared for these moments where the stakes are really high, it's really high pressure? How do you prepare for those kind of moments, and how do you cope with that?
Yeah, so I would consider myself a crisis communicator, and I think that has really aided me well in the work that I do at the Red Cross, certainly with COVID-19 and the pandemic, but all the crises that we have to respond to as an organization. And I think that that has been really helpful to me, making sure that I am calm during crisis, and I'm not mirroring what maybe I'm getting on the other end. I think, having an understanding that, crisis is very difficult for lots of people, and people cope with disaster and emergencies in very different ways, and making sure that you are smiling, being compassionate, being empathetic. Those are things that I think, have helped me as a leader. I think about, I feel like I have a very high EQ, a high, emotional intelligence, which means, I'm someone who leans into my strengths more than my weaknesses. And I'm someone who, recognizes, how can we rally a team? How can we mobilize everyone so that we are playing to everyone's strengths? And, making sure that everyone understands whatever the goal or task is at hand, and figuring out creative ways to really get there. I think we've all had to embrace digital in a different way than we had, have been, maybe in the past. And so I think that that's something that I tried to adhere to as well. And then I also think community is huge as a leader. You can, as a leader, do so much, but if you don't have community, if you don't have friends, family, strong, positive working relationships, how will you mobilize quickly? How will you get information to audiences that you need to? And so I think leaning on community in this time is very important. And I think that, there are leaders who definitely play to that, than maybe some others don't. And so I think that it's important to make sure that you have a community you can rally around, so that when you are in crises, you don't have to scramble and kind of decide like who I'm gonna connect with and who can I contact. Those relationships should already be established. And I think that when I think about Leadership Indianapolis and SKL, and how fortunate I was to go through that program, and alongside my community, my cohort, I am now able to lean on them, connect with you, connect with others. I have this just huge network, this huge pool of people that I value probably more than they even know.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things we've talked about, right, in our programming is, yes, know the issues, yes, be informed, yes, develop your skills, but most importantly, it's about the relationships. Invest in the relationships, and not just when you need something, but
Yes.
really build genuine, authentic relationships. Because like you said, in the moment when there's a crisis, we have to come together quickly and we have to mobilize quickly. And so you want to already have those relationships in place. So I know SKL Class 43 is very proud of you and the work you are doing, as are the rest of us at Leadership Indianapolis. So thank you again for everything that you're doing. Anything else in terms of how people can support the American Red Cross during this time? I know you said visit the website. We'll make sure we include the link down below. Anything else that people need to know about how to support you?
For sure. I would just leave everyone with 3 really quick things you can do. You can certainly volunteer. We'd love to, lean into your time and talents. We encourage folks, if you're able to donate, visit redcrossblood.org, or you can download our free blood donor app. And then if you feel so compelled to donate to the Red Cross, feel free to visit redcross.org.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for helping us all figure out how to do our part.
Thank you so much.